and welcome to episode 4 of A Froggy Yarn. My name is Rachel, and if you're new to this channel, welcome. And if you're returning, thanks for coming back. Remember to please like and subscribe to help this channel grow. All right, today's episode is going to be just a little bit different because I went to Flock Fiber Festival, and so I'm going to be sharing my experience there. But I also stopped on the way to Flock. I stopped in Portland, Oregon, and went to Cone and Fiber. So I also have some things to share with you from there. And then after that, we'll get into the regular episode. So I have to tell you, this is my third attempt to film this podcast. It's currently 5 a.m. I wanted to get it done before I go to work. I tried twice before, and I've learned that with a new camera, there's a steep learning curve. So yesterday, I had a flawless one-take go at it. The dogs didn't bark, nothing went wrong, except there was no audio, and it was in slow-mo. So, user error, but I am figuring things out. I've now had quite a tutorial on my new camera, and let's hope that this time it goes well. All in the name of learning. All right, let's see. Starting out, Cone and Fiber. So part of my issue with my camera was the no audio piece. My microphones were working fine, but I had messed up a setting on my camera and it wasn't picking up the audio. So unfortunately, the wonderful interview I did with Oksana at Cone and Fiber has no audio. I am going to still share the clip and I'll pop it in up here and let you see it, but I'm going to have to voice over. So just know that it would be much better if you were hearing Oksana's voice, but at least you can see the different areas of the store, the yarns they carry, and I will do a voiceover with their process for ordering or for purchasing. So apologies in advance for that, and go. This is the talented and knowledgeable Oksana who works at Cone and Fiber, and she's explaining that all of the yarn in the store is dead stock yarn, mostly from Italy, and it's premium quality yarn from places such as Loro Piana, Tolegno, or Coriaggi. There are lots of different fibers such as baby merino, cashmere, mohair, silk, eucalyptus, angora, camel, alpaca, linen, cotton, hemp, and more. And a lot of specialty yarns that she'll talk to us about later. This room is mostly animal fiber, such as merino. It's the woolly area of the store. And she's explaining the layout of the different shelves. Each shelf has a placard at the top that explains what yarn is on that particular section and if it's a blend or not. And then there is a cheat sheet, a code sheet, that has what the abbreviations are, so you know exactly what is in each cone that you pick up. Within each shelf, you'll see it's also sorted by weight and by color of yarn within that category. Now she's showing us different cones with similar fibers. You can get one large cone and get a 10% discount, or you can wind it onto smaller cones with a 50 gram minimum. So you can customize it to exactly what you want. And then they encourage you to sit down at the table and knit a swatch with 1 or 2 or 3 strands of yarn to see how it behaves. They really do encourage people to sit down and enjoy the space and play with the yarn and see how it feels. They also have swatches they've made that show you what the yarns can look like. And she's working on some swatches. She's got a pattern book and she's working on different swatches so that when you come into the store, you can see how the yarns behave. Next up, we're going to go into the other part of the store where there are the front counter and the different notions, but then the more plant-based fibers and silk yarns are in this area as well. The notions wall have a lot of their favorite needles, stitch stoppers, and then across from that are the yarns starting here with the silk, then the linen, then the silk and linen blends, the cottons, and so on down the line. Over here are some specialty yarns, things with sparkles in them. And in fact, these yarns have Swarovski crystals embedded in the yarn. And hopefully you can see that. They've got several different colors with the Swarovski crystals and they are absolutely beautiful. And there are samples knit up so you can see what they look like in a fabric. Back here is where we wind the cones for the customers. Again, it's a 50-gram minimum, and bring the cones back when you're done, and then we return them for you. And thank you for coming. Please come up to the counter and buy as many cones as you can carry home. Okay, so hopefully you enjoyed the tour of Cone and Fiber Yarn in Portland. If you're local, I highly recommend that you go, let them explain to you how the process works, and just take the time to sit at their table along with their shop dog and make some swatches, but it's an absolutely delightful experience. Okay. Next up, after I left Cone and Fiber, I made a brief little stop in Vancouver to check on my parents who live there, and then headed up to Seattle for Flock Fiber Festival. And I didn't know what to expect. I'd never been before, but I will say it's an experience that if you're able to go, I would highly recommend. Flock Fiber Festival, when you go in, it's actually kind of overwhelming. I got there about 9:30 in the morning. I found a great parking place only about a half mile away, and then walked over to the convention center. And when you go in, even though it was a half hour before it opened, there was this massive line of people. There were probably, I'd say, 2,000 people in line already. And so you weave your way through the line, but it's very well organized. And I spent less than 20 minutes waiting in line. By 10:10, I was already upstairs in the marketplace. So once you go through the line, you can go up to the second floor, go into the marketplace, and then there are classes available on the third floor. So Friday is just classes. Saturday, which is the day I went, there are classes and the marketplace is open, and there's all kinds of meetups and activities happening. And then Sunday, again, marketplace, some classes, some speakers available, and then the meetups. So I have some pictures that I'll share. I did not take live video because it was just kind of overwhelming and I wasn't fast enough to catch stuff, but I do have some photos to share. Okay, so aside from crowds, I'm looking at my notes here, the festival colorway was everywhere. So the purple, the orange, and the pink, and I'll put some pictures in of all the yarns and fleeces that were dyed to match the colorways. Every booth I went to, it seemed they had flock colorway fleece or yarn available. So that was fun. I also got to meet Frida and Felicia, who were the sheep from, let me get this right, Wild Rose Farm on Whidbey Island, Washington. And they are pure Valais black nose lambs. And they were fun. They were living their best life. They had a little air conditioner or fan. They had their food and water. They had a nice little pen and lots of people giving them all the love. So you'll see some shots of Frida and Felicia. So if you love petting sheep, that was a great place to go. And speaking of celebrities like Frida and Felicia, I also met several designers and other podcasters that I've been following, and that was fun. So there is a place at Flock called the Hill Climb or the Steps. I've heard it both ways. And it's basically just this huge set of wooden stairs, but they have big pads, kind of covered foam pads that you can sit on and just hang out and relax and knit or visit with people. And so a lot of designers will have meetups there. And so I had the privilege of meeting both Tori Yu and Andrea Mowry, and I'll put pictures up here. I'll start with Tori Yu. I actually forgot to wear my prospect tee, which I had made in a knit-along that she ran. And so I felt a little awkward approaching her for a photo, but she was so gracious. So I didn't do the group photo because I didn't have my project on me. But afterwards, when the lines died down, I did ask her, hey, can I get a photo with you? And she actually remembered my project because I had tagged her on it on Instagram. And she was just delightful and kind. So that was a lot of fun. And then about a half hour later, Andrea Mowry had her meetup also on the steps, and I was wearing my flock vest, so I did take part in that picture, and I'll put a picture of it up here. There were probably 500 people wearing the flock vest in that photo, which was a lot of fun, lots of different colorways. And you'll see me, I'm in the very, very upper left section wearing a bright well, it looks bright in the picture, kind of a bright teal colored vest. So maybe I'll draw an arrow so you can see me. And then I also have a picture of Andrea and I, and it was her birthday. And this is where I wish I had been faster with my camera. I got pictures, but I didn't get video. We all sang her happy birthday and she gave a little speech. And again, absolutely delightful human. She was sweet and kind and just very generous with her time. So that was a lot of fun. I also saw lots of different podcasters there. Didn't get to connect with all of them, but I was able to get together with Tanya from A Naughty Knitter 2, also known as the French Knot. And she was so forward thinking. She even brought little gifts. So she brought this. This is a little knitting survival kit, and it has, let me show you. It has some stitch markers and a stitch stopper and some barber cord and just all kinds of fun little things that you can just throw into your knitting bag. So very clever. Wish I had thought of that. I didn't. And then I had glimpses of Yeji from And Made Co., Sunday Knitting Society. No, that's not Rachel, is it? Now I can't remember, but Sunday Knitting Society. And then I didn't catch a glimpse of Rachel, the other Rachel, in her purple flock vest, but I know she was there somewhere. So it was just fun. Lots of other podcasters that I recognized. And then shockingly, I had a couple people come up to me and say, "Wait, I know you from YouTube." And that shocked me because my channel is still pretty small, but it was fun. I think the thing I noticed most at Flock was the incredible community feel. There were tables where you could just sit and if you were sitting, you were knitting. Everybody had their knitting out, which was fun, and we would sit and visit and talk about patterns. But back to the marketplace, I will say I had my 4 patterns with me that I had decided one of those was going to be the one I would buy yarn for, and I had marked all my yardages and I was ready to go. And shockingly, I didn't buy any yarn. I just wasn't feeling it. It wasn't calling to me, but I did buy fleece, and I'll show you that. But the marketplaces were wonderful. I visited places such as Les Garçons, La Mercière, Farmer's Daughter Fiber. There were just so many that I had never actually seen or touched and felt, and it was a lot of fun to do that. I also saw more spin cycle yarn than I knew existed in the world, but didn't buy any, which is a shocker. So stuck to my budget, stuck to my plan, and didn't buy yarn. Who knew? Classes and speakers. Because I registered late, I actually didn't register for any classes. They were mostly full. But they had speakers on the main stage, and I did catch some of those. So next year, if I go, I'll register early and plan to be there for the full weekend and take classes. If you go, a couple of tips that I wish I'd have known. Well, I had an idea, but some things that make the trip easier. Do buy your ticket in advance. You spend less time in line, so that was good. Plan on parking a ways away. So I did wear comfy shoes, and it was great. No problems there. You are going to walk a lot. I put on 10,000 steps in 3 hours in the marketplace. So lots of walking, which was good because I had also done lots of driving. It's about by the time I had all my stops, it was about 5 hours each way from where I live up to Flock. So I was happy to do lots of walking after all that sitting and driving. You also want to take your own snacks if you're on a budget, and I was. I took water and beef jerky and some other little snacks that I enjoy, and I was so grateful I had, because in the marketplace there are places, there's a little bistro where you can buy snacks, but a very tiny cheese and fruit plate with about 1.5 ounces of cheese and about 10 grapes was $12. A bottle of water was, I think, $4.75. So if you're like me and that seems excessive, then you'll want to take your own food and drinks, which they do allow you to bring in. I had a backpack with me with all my stuff, and that was just fine. You'll also want a big tote bag to carry anything you purchase. Okay, so let's get on to the purchases that I made. And I'm a little surprised at what I got, but I want to show it to you. So the first purchase that I made was at a wonderful booth it was called the Woolly Wildflower, and they had the Flock colorway of fleece. And the reason I liked this one is a lot of them were beautiful. They were all beautiful, but a lot of them were kind of neon colored. And I just wasn't sure that I was ready for either a neon yarn or a neon fleece. But this one, let's show you the colors here. It's just gorgeous. And the colors are a little more muted. It's almost kind of a fall color. And again, I'm a brand new spinner. My spinning wheel isn't even here yet. It'll be here at the end of the month. But I desperately wanted to try spinning some Flock Fiber Festival colorway fleece. So I did get what should be a sweater's quantity of this fleece. And my plan is, instead of buying the yarn to make the Traveler hoodie by Andrea Mowry, I'm going to attempt to spin sport weight yarn and then knit the Traveler hoodie. So I got enough that I should be able to practice and still have the yardage I need to make the hoodie. So there's the first one, and she called this Friends in Fine Weather Flock Together. And this is 4 ounces of non-superwash, 100% US grown superfine merino wool. And one of the things that attracted me to this vendor was when I looked at the prices of fleece, which were all pretty reasonable, hers were about 20% less than everybody else's. And so I did talk to the owner and discussed her, procurement methods and processing methods, and they were the same as everyone else's. So I finally asked her, I said, why are your fleeces so much less than everybody else's? And she said, I want everyone to have access to fleece. I want to make it affordable. And I just thought that was sweet and brilliant. So anyway, that was my first purchase. And then I went back before I left and got this lovely green, and I love the name of it. It's called Kilt Lifter, and this is Rambouillet wool. Look at that green, all kinds of green colors. Not sure what I'm doing with this yet, but I have enough of it that I've got lots of options. And then I was able to get the Mad Hatter. Look at that blue. And Mad Hatter is also Rambouillet. So these are all supposed to be very beginner-friendly spins. And then, thanks to the advice of Tanya from A Naughty Knitter 2, she directed me over to 316 Dye Studio, and this is made in Wichita, Kansas. This fleece is called Starlight Studio Blend, and it's 70% merino, 30% Firestar. And when I saw this, I had to have it. You've got to see this. I hope it shows up on camera. I think it does. There, it looks like starlight in it. There's just shiny little threads in there. And I was told that this is still a very beginner-friendly fleece, and that it will spin up beautifully. So we'll see. But I also have enough to make a sweater or a hoodie or something in this gorgeous hand-dyed fiber. So those were my purchases, my in lieu of yarn purchases. And then I did make one completely impulse purchase, but I'm glad I did. I'll see if I can show this to you. I don't know about you, but at my house, you never know if the sink is clean, and I'll scrub it, but I'm always worried that did I drain a can of beets in the sink and there's going to be red dye spreading to my project or whatever. So I finally did get a Strucket, and if you're not familiar with the Strucket system, it's a tub with a plug in the bottom so you can put your wool wash and your warm water or whatever you're using in the bucket, and then you put this in, and it's not a colander, but it drains, and you put your project in that, let it soak. But then when you're ready to drain the water out or dry out your project, you can take your bucket, set it up like this, let it drain before you squeeze the rest of the water out, and then you just pull the plug on your bucket. Oh, that's not the plug side. This is. Pull the plug on your bucket, drain that out, and then you're ready to go and get on with your blocking. So another, again, an impulse purchase, but I hate paying shipping, and I didn't have to if I bought it there, so it felt like a win. Okay, so that is Flock Fiber Festival. Again, if you're able to make it next year, I do recommend it. Now that I've been once, I know what I would do differently, and I definitely would get into some of the classes. But again, just the community feel was fantastic. So hoping to go back with a group of friends. All right, now back into our regular podcast episode. I have made a lot of progress, and I'm a little surprised by that because I also went back to work. I'm an elementary school principal this year. I came out of retirement to take a temporary position, and so I'm having to reacclimate to a regular work schedule, and it definitely has impacted my knitting time. But I got a lot done, especially on my test knit, so I want to show you the progress on that. And I am thrilled with this. If you're new to the podcast, this is a test knit by JST Knitwear. So it's Jennifer Shields Toland. It's due August 24th, and it is the riplet blouse. I am making this blouse in Drops Saffron, and that is a cotton yarn. It's a sport weight. I am doing this on size 4 needles for the main part of the body and size 2 needles for the ribbing. And look at this. I am so happy with my progress. So I have one sleeve completely done. I went ahead and finished the ball that I was doing on the body and then switched to the sleeves so I could make sure I had enough for the body. I have 7 balls, which should be plenty, but I wanted to get the sleeves done. So there's one sleeve with the lace design. And then I was able to get about 2/3 of the second sleeve done, and it's starting to actually look like a cardigan. So I'm actually going to throw this on. Let's see here, so you can see. All right, so there is the sleeve. And I think the fit's going to be good, although it looks a little wonky over my sweater without a button band. But overall, super happy with the progress, with the fit. And now that I'm finishing the sleeves, it just seems to be going so much more quickly. Next up, I'll finish the body and then go back and pick up for the button band and the collar, and I'll be done. So I'm hoping that for episode 5, it won't be done, but I'm hoping I'll have both sleeves and the body done, and then just have the button band and collar left to finish, block it, and then be able to take some really good pictures for Jennifer and send it off to her. Well, not send off the sweater, send off the photos. So that is the riplet blouse. I am making size 2, and I think that's everything on that one. Next up, this next one is my Avenue Tee by, the pattern is by Tori Yu. I am using Cone and Fiber linen and silk yarn from Cone and Fiber in Portland, Oregon. And I haven't made a ton of progress, but I have made some, and I'm getting very close to having the body done on this. So this is a project for my mother, and there it is. So I have about another 2.5 inches to go on the body, and then I'll just pick up and finish the armholes and the collar, which goes pretty quickly, and that one will be done. So I'm hoping I'll have a few finished whips in the next couple weeks. And then I wasn't going to work on my birthday cast on, but it was calling to me. Not a ton done on it, but this is the Felix cardigan. Felix is a pattern by Amy Christoffers. And this is done. I'm going to put a picture up for you. In the last episode, I was talking about the 2 different yarns being the same shade, but it just wasn't showing up. So I took a picture outside in natural light so you could get a better idea of it. And they really are just a beautiful match. So I am using Stroll by Knit Picks. It's a sock yarn. And then Universal Yarns Tweed. And here's my progress. So it's starting to resemble a cardigan, and the raglan increases are done, and I absolutely love those. I just love the look of this cardigan. So this one's going to be a while before it's done, but it's on a size 10 needle, so it goes quickly, and it's soft and squishy, and I'm just excited to have it to wear to work this fall. Okay. In our last episode, I shared that one of the things I struggle with is remembering make one left, make one right, make one left purl, make one right purl. And several viewers graciously shared their tips, and so I'll put a couple of them up here for you to see. one of them talked about using left has 4 letters and back has 4 letters. So left is in the back, right has 5 letters, and front has 5 letters. So right is front, or front is right. And so that was helpful. And then another one used a mnemonic device, and I'll put that up here because I don't remember all of it. I need to try these out now and get familiar with them. But basically it's either I left the door open or I'll be right back. And I thought, okay, I might remember that, so I'll give it a try. But then at Flock, I noticed they had these little cheater cards, and it says, make one right, pick up the bar between the stitches from back to front, knit into the front. Make one left, pick up the bar between the stitches from front to back, knit into the back. So again, it's kind of like when I write on the pattern, but I thought I'll just hang this on my project bag, and if all else fails, I'll refer to that. So again, still struggling a little bit with remembering it, but I figure eventually I'm going to get there, and your tips were great. I'm going to try those out as well. And a lot of you also said, oh yeah, I can't remember that one either. So I don't know why. I can memorize a lace pattern, but I can't remember make one left, make one right. The other thing from our last episode was my friend Donna had given me the frog, and you sent in some great names. I haven't picked one yet, but they were all boy names. So apparently our frog is a boy. And I'm looking down at my notes. The names that came in were Fernando, Franco, Felix, Henri, Frankie, Freddie, and then Michigan. And I thought, Michigan? That's a weird name for a frog. And then she put in the comments a link to a video, and it was Michigan is the frog from Looney Tunes. And I cracked up. That just took me right back to my childhood. So those are the names, and I'll figure out how we'll pick which one, but with Flock and everything else going on, I just haven't done it yet. So episode 5, we'll pick the frog name, and I'll make a poll or something. Oh, a couple other things. Andrea Mowry, I mentioned that it was her birthday while we were at Flock. Saturday was her birthday. And if you are interested in any of her patterns, which I highly recommend, on Ravelry, if you put any of your patterns in your any of her patterns in your cart, and then use the code DRK43, and I'll put it up here for you, and I'll add it to the show notes, you get 43% off on any of her patterns. And so if you're thinking about some, or you've had some on your wish list or in your cart for a while, this would be the time to get them. The sale goes through midnight on August 6th, I believe, if memory serves me right. And when this video goes up, it will be August 3rd, so you still have a little bit of time. But if you want to get in on that action, her patterns are fantastic, and that is a wonderful and very generous price. I think that is it. So again, thank you to those of you that are new and are just checking things out. I know I'm a little all over the place today, but thanks for hanging in there with me. And then if you are a regular subscriber, thank you so much for coming back and checking things out again. It would mean the world to me if you would like and subscribe and share as this channel grows. We are nearing the 100 subscriber mark. And so when we hit that, I'll be doing a giveaway, and then we'll see what happens after that. So I hope you are having a wonderful week of wonderful knitting. It's going to be in the triple digits here again this week, which is not typical Oregon weather. We do get some in the summer, but this will be, I think, our 3rd round of triple digit heat. And we're just delicate flowers here. We're not used to that. We're used to a little bit of a milder summer, but we'll get through it, and hopefully that's the last of it for us. Those of you that live in hot climates, hats off to you. I don't think I could do it. I like my seasons, and I love my cold, rainy winters and my warm but not super hot summers. So anyway, hope you're all staying cool, or in the Southern Hemisphere warm, and we'll be back next week with episode 5. Happy knitting.